The weather outside is frightful, but Steve's company is so delightful. But that is as you guys know. Let's do the show, do the show, do the show. Ooh, I'm really loving this Christmas spirit. It's fantastic. Well, to keep in theme, we have another special Christmas episode for you, and it's kind of going to be a 2-for-1 deal. Oh yes, so we're going to be discussing 1974's Black Christmas, as well as the remake Black Xmas from the year
2006.
Awesome. All right. 1974's Black Christmas. Oh, what an important film in horror cinema. Well, it is heavily regarded as one of the first slasher flicks. And as you know, there's always a debate about what was the first true slasher flick. But Black Christmas is always up there at the top.
Right.
So, starting with 1974's Black Christmas. Well, I gotta say, it's interesting to know it heavily inspired Halloween, which came 4 years later. So, it really is a important film. And it's funny because this is something I haven't seen until probably my later teens.
Yeah.
For the first time. But
sadly, I just saw it a year ago.
Really? Well, fuck. Even better. It's like wine. It gets better with age, that movie.
Yeah, when they put out that Scream Factory collector's edition of it, that was the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I actually still have yet to see it on Blu-ray, but I'm sure it's
gorgeous,
fantastic.
dude.
But as for myself, aeons ago, when I was probably like 16, I visited my aunt in New Jersey to go to Monster Mania in Cherry Hill, New Jersey for a couple of hours. So when we came back, we watched, a bunch of her collection because she has a lot of great horror films. She actually was the first one to show me Black Christmas. So yeah, it was around 16, I would say. But I really enjoyed it. I found it creepy. It was just freaking awesome. But it wasn't until I got older that I realized the real significance of the impact it had on the horror world. But pretty much to make it simple, it takes place in a sorority house with all these sorority girls, and some crazy motherfucker named Billy. I guess he escaped at some institution, and little do they know he's hiding out in their house. And pretty much it starts out with him making really inappropriate calls to them, really perverted stuff, and they get upset, thinking this is just some sick prank, leave us alone. Well, as things go on, one by one, the girls start getting picked off, and it's really great film. There's a lot of iconic kills, but something I liked was towards the end of it, of course, one of the girl's boyfriends, Peter, shows up, and there's no one else to blame, so right away, oh, you're the one that did this. He gets fucking a fireplace poker, wailed him down. So, when all is said and done, Billy is still lurking in the house in the attic. But some kills I really liked. I would say probably the most infamous one is he used a statue of a unicorn to stab one of the girls, and that was really awesome. And I would say, besides that, another really iconic one is how he used plastic bag to, strangle the girl.
Yeah, that's just an iconic scene, seeing the girl with the plastic bag on her head just rocking back and forth in the chair.
And I've seen that a lot, I think, for covers or at least posters. They always like to go back to that whole plastic bag thing. And that was really unsettling, even when I saw it.
Yeah.
But, it's cool because it's one of those movies where they never really find out who the killer is. He's just some mysterious, crazy guy. Something I always found weird, though, was after the police come and okay, Peter's the killer, blah, blah, case closed. For some reason, they still never recovered 2 bodies, and I guess they were hidden up in the attic, but for some reason, they didn't think to look up there.
Right.
I don't know. It's one of the funny things about the film, but, it's really important. I loved it when I first saw it, and it has to be in the top 2 best Christmas horror films that exist. But, like I said, it really left a legacy behind, so much that they ended up remaking it. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about Black Xmas. By the way, I have seen this, but not quite recently, so.
Yeah, I just watched it again, I don't know, a week or 2 ago. It essentially follows the same idea. It's the sorority house of girls being picked off by Billy, who escaped from the asylum, but they almost try and Rob Zombie's Halloween it a little bit.
That's awesome.
And tell some like Billy backstory with like his family and how like there was some incest involved and like that led to his mother having his child.
Yeah.
Who's,
Oh
like,
my
his
God.
sister Agnes. So like she plays a part in the killing in the remake. Like, it's, you know, it's still a good movie. It's definitely not as good as the original though. Like not at all.
And I was surprised how freaking different it was.
Yeah.
Even just the fact that there's two villains and they found a hidden place in the house.
I guess because they like used to live there, that Billy knew a bunch of like secret little crawl spaces and stuff, and that's how he would like creep on his parents and shit. Like
They did look weird.
yeah,
You said that they had jaundice, right?
Billy does. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then Agnes looks weird because she's a child of incest, so she's a
Yeah.
little deformed.
You know, though, the first time I actually sat and watched the whole thing, that was maybe like 2 years ago. My friends Steve and Allison, sometimes they would have movies in their backyard on the projector. But yeah, we did watch the remake, Black Xmas, around Christmas. And, you know, I thought it was an interesting remake. I didn't absolutely hate it, but, you know, it was very different
Right.
from what I remember from the original.
The one thing was that they really upped the gore factor. Like there was a lot of like pulling out people's eyes, and like the one girl, she gets like a ice skate,
Yeah,
like chops
oh my
off the
God.
whole top of her head and shit. Like
I almost kind of forget how almost cartoonish the violence was.
yeah, which is almost unfortunate because I read that like the director of the remake actually became like good friends with Bob Clark, the director of the original, and got his blessing to do this remake because he wanted to do a very faithful adaptation. But then the studio, I believe it's Dimension,
Okay.
so it's the Weinstein brothers, fought him like tooth and nail and forced him to put more gore, because this is in the time of like the Saws and stuff
Oh my
like
God,
that.
yeah, no Hostel.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, you have to up the gore, do this person has to die like this, and it completely changed the tone of the movie.
Yeah. And, you know, that is definitely a shame, especially because he's being, ultimately, he's getting the bad rap if people don't like it.
Oh yeah, well he said a thing that I read. He did that movie Willard with the rats.
Oh, the rat guy.
and that
Okay.
was a like critical bomb. And before he made this Black Christmas remake, he actually said, if this movie bombs, it'll be the death of my career.
Oh, my God.
It bombed, and he has not made a movie since.
That's so sad.
yeah.
Yeah, wow. Definitely tragic. Now, I would say, I something I realize is a lot of younger people, like around our age, it's so, a surprising amount of people actually saw the remake Black Xmas. Like even people that aren't necessarily horror fans, I'm sure it just pops up around the holidays.
yeah.
So like, oh, let me check it out. But again, it's not. I don't expect everyone to know that there's an original,
Right.
Because obviously it is from '74. So, you know, what do you think did better overall to this day? I mean, I'm definitely with the original.
I mean, yeah, definitely the original.
You know, some of my friends like the remake more. A few.
I mean, the remake's enjoyable, and they definitely tried to pay respect, even in as much as like casting Andrea Martin from the original as Mrs. Mack in the remake. Like, they tried to do some things. It's just like, especially for people who wouldn't know that there's even an original, it just fall on deaf ears. So it just looks like a normal movie.
But I feel like something at least the remake might have did a little more was, I feel like they possibly had a little bit more of a better Christmas atmosphere. I feel like there was way more random paraphernalia and more, you know, I don't know.
mean, even the last kill of the remake is when Billy follows the girl to the hospital or whatever. And she ends up like throwing him over the side of the stairs, and he's impaled on like the spike at the top of the Christmas tree.
Oh, all right. Well, that sounds pretty neat.
Yeah.
But I know a fun fact. You actually just reminded me. Bob Clark, he's really praised for Black Christmas. But what other film have most of our viewers seen? It's very funny. Actually.
Anybody who watches like TBS for the 24 hours from like Christmas Eve to Christmas Day would have seen his film A Christmas Story.
Yep. So, you know, Ralphie and the BB gun, the Red Rider. Yeah, same fucking guy.
Yeah.
It's funny. I believe a few times I believe I saw in Philadelphia that they had double feature, like Bob Clark Christmas.
Nice.
They had Black Christmas followed by A Christmas Story. That's actually fun. I can watch those back to back.
It's sad because that almost could have been a triple feature, because when this remake bombed, Bob Clark decided he was going to start writing a sequel to his original Black Christmas, but he passed away before it ever came to be.
That's fucking sad.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, it could have been a triple feature. And, of course, if it was a sequel to the original, I would be open to see what it is.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, of course, one, I guess you don't really call it an ambiguous ending because you kind of know what happened, but you still don't know much about the killer.
Right.
So, but yeah, even the closing score to the original when it zooms out from the attic. Oh, I love that so much. But yeah, I guess that's gonna be our thoughts on Black Christmas and Black Xmas. Now, would you recommend both?
Oh, absolutely.
I would recommend both as well. To be honest, if you got horror friends, I lean towards the original. If you have friends that are just getting together, because it's the holidays, Black Xmas, the remake, is probably better for just a general audience.
Right.
So if your friends aren't horror nerds, probably go with the remake. It'll be easier for them to pay attention because for some reason, some people have a hard time paying attention to old-looking films. So it's safer to go with Black Xmas for friends. But I like both, but I love the original.
Right.
Love. And I do need to get that beautiful Blu-ray.
Oh, it's so nice, dude.
Yep. So, all right, Insomniacs, we'll make sure to check out these two films for your Christmas holidays. It's going to be the end of this episode. So, Kurious Cyclopes.
And Steve.
Have a happy, holly, jolly Christmas. Bye-bye.